From my perspective, this has been a relatively underwhelming year for games, but that's not to say that there were a few titles that do stand out. So instead of 10, we're going to count down my top 6 games of 2015. Of course, if you have a lot of responsibilities, you can't exactly play everything, or at least pretend that you've completed every game that you bought. As such, this list represents my own personal favourites of the year, so if you feel deeply disheartened that your game didn't make my list, you can voice your own list in the comments below. Number 6, Metal Gear Solid 5: The Phantom Pain. Nothing beats a good stealth game, especially a good stealth game with a massive heart. There's something so mesmerising about the Phantom Pain's delivery. It's a tense, finely crafted espionage action thriller, while at the same time having moments of tender emotion. It might be showered with masculine ideals, which is common when it comes to action-oriented video games, but there is a beauty to how Kojima captures your attention. It could be the terror of a soldier shining a beam of light in your direction, the sudden shock and panic of being caught off guard, or perhaps it's the chaotic mayhem of taking on an entire army on your own. The game is filled with strong gameplay variety, and allows you to create your own opportunities to approach objectives, so that by the end, you truly feel empowered as an elite special soldier. Number 5, Until Dawn. It may not be the greatest story, nor does the game substantially adapt to your actions when you think about it, but Until Dawn is certainly engaging to say the least. I was hooked by the use of the butterfly effect, the twists and turns of the story, and all the little details that surprisingly make this a much more weighty narrative than you might expect. I rarely ever go looking for collectibles, but I felt I had to here. The game pays homage to many contemporary horror films, including Evil Dead, Scream, Halloween, My Bloody Valentine, and even more recent examples such as Cabin in the Woods, or even more obscure titles like Frozen. Not that Frozen. Either way, I see them both as horror films. It's the use of other backstories, character conflicts, and the superbly well-paced chapters that keep you captivated as the use of psychological elements and intensifying mystery work well to create a sense of unpredictability. Also, Peter fucking Stormare! Number 4, The Witcher 3. Richly detailed and finely crafted sums up this game perfectly. The Witcher 3 is an adventure that truly comes to life. Admittedly, I never had the time to complete the main story, but it's the sense of variety and progression that kept me engaged. Venturing from local peaceful towns, to swampy marshes, to the stormy seas, makes the world of The Witcher feel vast and dangerous, but also beautifully jaw-dropping to look at. Being able to grow Geralt into a powerful monster hunter is rewarding and gratifying, especially when you find yourself faced with creatures that simply have a red skull next to their level to basically tell you, yeah, you're not going to win this. I always loved finding a new creature just so that I could read about it in my journal, and understanding how it fights and discovering its weaknesses add a wonderful level of depth and strategy. The game also comes with a great sense of attachment by making each objective have its own deep and complex storyline, making you venture off from the main story to find that little bit extra. There's also something to be said about Geralt's sassy attitude. Number 3, Fallout 4. I know, right? Not my game of the year. But that's not to say that it isn't an absorbing and addicting experience, thanks to its greatly improved combat and perk system. I'm only about 20 hours into Fallout 4, but wow does this game have a lot to do. I could sit here and talk about every activity you could possibly do, from base building to weapon and armor modifying, to joining an army, to becoming the most feared wanderer in the Commonwealth, but that's not why I love Fallout 4. It's the little visual stories that the game tells. One of my personal favourites was finding a group of civilian skeletons lying outside a portable bomb shelter, only to open it up to find a skeleton of a soldier hugging a teddy bear, which I promptly gave to Dogmeat to play with. I also loved how the game manages areas of difficulty. As you venture further south towards the glowing sea, the level of difficulty increases, which makes you feel far more trepidatious about venturing too far from Sanctuary until you're at a sufficient level. Number 2, Bloodborne. Of course, a very divisive game for those who aren't used to the level of patience and tolerance to play a From Software game, but Bloodborne is more streamlined and engrossing than the other Souls games. It's certainly not a bad thing, as it actually works in favour of the game's more action-oriented design. Drenched in a brooding and compelling atmosphere, and surrounded by emotional and ambiguous undertones, the game is filled with unique and interesting lore and gloriously inventive and original locations. If you've never played a Souls game, this could be your gateway into the twisted mind of From Software. If you make a mistake, it's entirely your fault, and if you keep dying, that's the game telling you that you have to be patient and learn how each enemy works. Bosses are even more horrific both visually and in battle, and you'll find yourself learning something new each time you play. Number 1. Dying Light. Certainly the most underrated, undervalued, and heavily overlooked games of 2015, Dying Light is heart-pounding, extremely well-paced, exciting, and probably the most fun I've had with a game all year. Zombies may be fatigued, and I completely understand that, but Techland took the element of parkour, employed an interesting twist to the day and night formula, and did something quite special with the zombie genre. Best zombie game ever? It's certainly near the top. The game is breathtakingly beautiful, and genuinely surprised me as I saw this as the first next-gen game to really blow me away in terms of technical and visual performance. During the day, the game is more casually paced as you find yourself looting and exploring for supplies, but at night, the intensity significantly increases as you try to outrun the terrifying Special Infected. The abilities you unlock make the game gradually more fun and exciting, and even combat and stealth work surprisingly well. The sense of scale and claustrophobia are brilliantly combined, and the momentum you gain from parkour is definitely better than Mirror's Edge. If you're tolerant of zombies and you want a unique twist to the action-adventure and survival horror genre, Dying Light is certainly great to check out for its adrenaline-fueled gameplay. And that's my list. If you want to share your own thoughts, please do so in the comments below, as there were a few games I simply don't have time to discuss. And if you're planning on getting any games at Christmas, please let me know what you're excited for this holiday season. Until next time, if you liked the video, would you kindly subscribe? And if you happen to share the video on social media, that makes us best friends.